Welcome to Family Gamer TV. Now, if you track the channel, you know we're into games and tech, but we're also quite keen runners. I myself am an ultra runner, believe it or not, and I'm rather excited about a new app we've come across, Run an Empire, which combines running and gaming. And we've got Ben Barker, co-founder of the app, to tell us about it. So Ben, how does it work, combining a video game and also running?
Yeah, exactly. So Run an Empire, the concept is every time you go for a run, we track that. We've divided the world up into hexagons. So as you run, you either run through those hexagons, and so you capture what you run through, or if you complete a loop, so you run in back to sort of where you started, you capture everything within the loop. So ultimately what it is a game of kind of territory claiming and then ultimately defending after that as well.
So it sort of combines that, I don't know, is it Clash of Empires, that sort of mechanic where you're competing with other real players in the world, but the way you sort of score points for a territory is by running through it. Is that right?
Exactly. So it's the idea that everyone plays on the same map. So when I run through, say, a hex, I get 10 points in that, so I control it by that much. But then if someone else comes along and runs, they then could affect that. But effectively what we end up with is a question of every time you go for a run, do you defend what you already have, so the territory you've already got under your control, or do you go and maybe claim some other territory elsewhere?
Interesting. So I mean, I guess the easy comparison, it doesn't seem exactly like it, but is Zombies Run, just because of that sort of gamifying running. How would you differentiate Run an Empire to Zombies Run?
Zombies Run is a fantastic game and something that actually, you know, obviously a trailblazer for us in terms of bringing sort of gaming and fitness together. I think the way that we're different is that everyone plays on the same map, and we're really sort of a massively multiplayer sort of game mechanic first. So it's not necessarily narrative led, it's actually more about that sort of ongoing challenge to compete with friends or neighbours or really everyone in the world potentially as well. So we've got that kind of motivating factor that comes with a game where everyone's competing in the same space.
Yeah, I can see. So maybe if we can sort of hear a bit more about the game side of it. So I get the sort of top line, you're running, you're scoring points, but is that it, or is there more of a video game as you progress?
Yeah, so on that sort of, like you say, that initial element is that you very much go for a run and capture territory. But the nice thing is that once you've caught that territory, then we have a currency system in the game. So the territory that you own earns you coins, which can be spent on upgrades for things. So you can upgrade your crest, which is the kind of central avatar in the game, where there are standards that represent things that you spend coins on. There are quadrant elements, which are rewards that you get for certain challenges and achievements within the game. And all that comes together to give you, first of all, how you're represented. So when I capture your territory, you'll see my crest, so that kind of heraldry, and you'll kind of think, there he goes again, you know, yep. Benjamin's taken my territory, and that's the kind of ensign that represents me. But then on top of that, we've also got those things can then have an effect in the world. So you might equip a certain piece that gives you a slight benefit when you go for a run or when defending a territory later. So there's quite a sort of a rich game world underneath to explore.
So there's a bit of strategy there. So before you go out, you'd need to pick, I want to use these kind of power-ups, and then you go do your run, knock an amazing run out, and then you score many more points.
Yeah, exactly. So those features are kind of, we're bringing them now. So they're not necessarily in the launch version, but in the next couple of updates, those kind of power-ups are coming. So yeah, that's sort of what we're really excited for, because then that starts to be about thinking not just about where you run, but where a particular player might be, or someone who's not defended their territory well. Because you also skirmish coins. Even if you can't maybe claim some territory in a run, you can skirmish some coins off an opponent. So you might run through a well-guarded bit of territory, but you might steal a few coins off them if they've not protected it.
So in terms of cost, is this something that's quite costly to get on your phone?
No, it's free to play, so there's no sort of barrier to downloading it. Just download and create an account, and you're off, and you can run within seconds, really. Yeah.
And is there in-app purchases? I mean, I guess you're making money somehow. What's the business model?
Yeah, so the nice thing is, on one level, obviously, we've got a location system, so we can get some really good sponsorship deals with people that maybe want to do something on a particular hex, or leagues. Maybe a sports brand might want to run a league in the app. And then on top of that, there are a few kind of cosmetic and functional purchases in the app that might slightly modify the impact of your run, or might upgrade the way that your crest or the background to your crest looks.
And you were mentioning earlier that the app naturally, it limits how often you can run, so someone can't just go and start and stop and do loads, try and get loads of hexes in one day. But that's quite interesting, sort of suggesting to runners that they need to do it in a rhythm rather than just go out crazy on the first day.
Yeah, so we definitely don't stop people from running. You can actually remove that barrier quite easily with the coins that you earn in the game. It's just that we do want people to obviously not be able to game the app by running around one hex, 1,000 times. But also, it's quite nice to have people thinking about, oh, I've got my chance to run again in this sort of 12-hour period. So try and sort of encourage a behaviour to run regularly and sort of feel like there's always a kind of need to go out and use that time that you've got available.
Yeah, nice. And so how about in terms of the technology, we're sort of seeing it here running on an iOS and an iPhone. Are you looking at other devices? Like, could you go out with a Garmin and then sync afterwards like you do with Strava?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I was sort of saying, at the moment that's not a feature, but it's something that's coming soon. We're really interested in getting as many runners using it as possible. So whether that be through kind of Apple Watch, obviously we've support for Android coming as well. We're really keen to make it work for everybody. But at the moment we really kind of like as well that everyone's in our environment, sort of not just going for a run and sort of a quick review afterwards, but they're playing the kind of full game by sort of spending time in the app as well.
Yeah, nice. And so it's been soft launched in New Zealand, I understand, for a little while. Coming to the UK any day now.
Exactly, yeah. So we're launching this Wednesday in the UK, so it's going to be available across the UK on iOS from Wednesday.
And then how about other territories? Have a lot of viewers in the US. So
Yes.
we'll be getting comments saying, how soon can I play this?
Yeah, so we can't wait to bring it to the US as well. It obviously takes a bit of time to launch in a territory. There's a certain amount of sort of planning that goes into it. So really, we want to get the UK launch done, validate a number of our sort of different mechanics for getting people engaged and sticking, and then get into the US as soon as possible, really. So we're hoping that's going to be, before the end of the year, all being well.
I mean, the other sort of peg that comes to mind in terms of this app, of course, is that augmented experience you get with Pokemon Go. Now, it's not just the mechanics, is it? It's the brand that's driving that popularity. Have you looked at sort of collaborating with a branded up version of Run an Empire?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited to do partnerships. We've actually got one here for launch in the UK with Bloomberg, which is not necessarily a kind of a sort of consumer brand necessarily, but it just shows, we think it validates the potential of the app to kind of work with partnerships. So we're running a kind of league within the game with them. But the funny comparison that we always get, and I guess when you see the trailer as well, we get compared with Game of Thrones. So that's really kind of interesting for us, the idea that actually what this whole kind of family and building a kind of heraldry set is something that people can really relate to anyway.
Yes, it's claiming a territory. Yeah, I mean, this is the mind boggles. You could kind of apply to everything, couldn't you? I could imagine a Harry Potter version where you're taking on different schools and Harry Potter and characters. Yeah, so it sounds great. So, well, I think I need to do is to go and try it. So I'll get my running shoes on and give it a go. But as a sort of a first look and inside sort of peek into the studio, it's great to see the guys working behind you. So I guess you're a relatively small outfit, are you?
Yeah, so we're just 7 people at the moment, but hopefully post-launch we'll then be able to grow the team and to sort of scale up for global launch.
Yeah, where are you based? It looks like you're in a bunker somewhere.
Yeah, it's a secret location somewhere that we can't tell you about. No, we're in the basement of Somerset House, which is a great kind of maker space that's been led by an organisation called Makerversity. It's we're with a number of other interesting games companies.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time today, Ben. And I'm going to go and see if I can capture some hexes and run an empire. So thanks a lot.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.